Have you ever asked yourself, how long will it take me to understand spoken Spanish? You know, the type of Spanish that is used by people in the streets of Mexico? Well, then you gotta watch this video because I'm gonna be explaining why I think that age and skill don't matter when it comes to learning a language. Three of the most common problems that I've seen students make over and over again, and the solutions to them. Hello there, it's La Mexicanita speaking again. So you get lost in a sea of words. You're listening to your favorite song, you can't catch not even a single thought. And then you turn on your favorite telenovela and you're still lost. Turn on the subtitles, you read the lyrics, and it seems quite simple. You know enough grammar, enough vocab to get by, but you still feel lost when you're trying to have a real conversation. Before we dive into the three problems, I want you to understand that this is very common. It's not just you. Most students make this mistake over and over again. Fixing them takes time and good training. So if you're looking for the perfect language coach, someone that'll actually help you reach the level of fluency you've always dreamed of, go ahead, check out the description box, or leave a comment. First problem, translating. This is probably one of the most common problems. And think of it this way, it's not very practical. You hear a word or a phrase, you translate it to English, and then you have to translate it back to Spanish. This is a problem, and this is very common. I'm going to make a longer video explaining how to fix this. But some of the tips that I can give you is always linking the word in Spanish to either an image, an object, a sound in English instead of the word itself. For instance, when I say book, you can picture a book, you can see it in your brain. It could be a red book, a blue book, a big book. I mean, everybody has a different image, but it's still somewhat similar. You know, it has a cover, pages, basic things that make a book be a book. So what you're trying to do is the same in Spanish. If I say libro, think of the image, not the word in English. Don't picture B-O-O-K. Those are random letters that are not going to help you when it comes to a conversation. You got to think of the image. Now, if you don't usually see an image when you're speaking in English or whatever your native language is, then try to associate whatever you hear or see in your mind to the word in Spanish. Sometimes it's a lot easier when it comes to concrete objects, and this should be your starting point. You can add a post-it. See the object, see the word, and forget about translating. That's not going to help. Problem number 2 is not understanding how we actually speak the language. So words are great, and you see them on a piece of paper, but consider this. Did you understand what a word was when you were a baby or a toddler? Not really, right? This is an abstract concept that we are taught through years and years of schooling. And if you see probably, a first grader writing a text, they might be confused as to what's the start of the word and the end, how to split them into pieces, because this takes quite a bit of training. We as adults understand this fine. It's perfectly comprehensible to us to see those little chunks. The problem with this is that our brain is used to seeing them so much that we think that spoken language works the same. So when you turn on the subtitles to watch your favorite movie and you finally understand what they're saying, it clicks. It's because you can see those little chunks and we're focusing on the wrong things. This works only when you're reading. Words are great when you're writing, but when it comes to speaking, no, because you're going to pick up the wrong signals. So what do you have to watch out for? Connected speech. What's this? We connect words. So very important, because if you understand how this is used in spoken language and learn also how to apply it when you're speaking, you're going to sound a lot more natural and in turn confident. I have other videos on this topic, so if you want to go ahead, check those out. But let's go into this phrase. Haces. So what are you doing, or what do you do? Notice that instead of saying ¿qué haces and dividing this into two parts, I'm combining this into one whole phrase. ¿Qué haces? What is happening here? Well, I'm connecting the speech. If I were to eliminate these set of words, then I would be able to hear only gases, gases, gases. This is the way that we actually speak. We don't separate this into parts. So you have to train your brain to see them as if they were connected and to be able to understand it this way. I like teaching my students from the very start this basic concept because it's going to save them a lot of time in the long run. So putting this into practice, feeling how the language flows, the rhythm, the intonation of a question, but this connectivity or the connectedness of the language, so to speak, really helps them to be able to start with the right foot, to feel confident from the very start, and to see how they make progress a lot faster. Problem number 3 is focusing on the wrong things and being obsessed over details. The traditional system teaches us to focus first on grammar. However, we as native speakers don't know a lot of grammar rules. Go ahead, ask your neighbor, ask your friend, or ask a relative, and ask them why it's tengo and not tenga here. They probably won't be able to tell the indicative and the subjunctive, a verb, or an adjective apart. Why? Because we haven't been trained as linguists. We just hear the language, use it, and that's basically about it. We really complicated to go over the grammar, the technicalities. And to be honest, it doesn't really help. Grammar or understanding how grammar works is it's good. I mean, it's good to understand the basic principles, but in the end, when we're speaking, we're not going over, well, at least not consciously, we're not going over all of the grammar rules and the exceptions. We make mistakes when we speak. You're focusing too much on the grammar. You want to understand every single word. And languages don't work this way. In English, kind of is not kind of. I mean, you would just say kind of, right? You drop the F, make it sound more natural, faster, and there's a whole reason. There's a reason as to why this happens. It's basically economy of speech. We want to produce language faster. We want to economize the words we use and the sounds, the amount of effort that it takes to articulate an idea. So here, since of is not essential to the meaning, then we drop the F and then you stick to kind of, and that's okay because native English speakers speak this way. So think of it this way. If a word is not essential, you might see slight changes to the word. Maybe a letter that we don't use or we don't pronounce anymore, or maybe a sound that changes. So instead of an of, you might change this to an ah because you relax your jaw and it's kind of turns out to be kind of. So this is actually very hard for English learners to understand, but you can see a very clear example as to why this is important in Spanish. We do basically the same. Some words are not as important as others. Usually prepositions, pronouns like he, she, or maybe these are articles, an in English, the equivalent in Spanish, un, una, might not be enunciated as clearly as you would find nouns and adjectives and verbs. So what does this mean? If you're focusing so much on understanding every piece of information, you're not going to get there. You're not even going to find them because we are not speaking those words let's say as clear as we would the content words, which are like I mentioned, nouns or adjectives or verbs. Those are essential to the meaning. So what do you need to do? You need to be trained correctly to spot the essential words and forget about those teeny tiny words that maybe native speakers might not even be able to pick up well. Your brain will fill those gaps and be able to interpret the information without having every single piece of data. So it's fine. Don't be obsessed. If you liked my videos, go ahead, check out my other content, follow for more, leave a comment. What are the issues that you have been experiencing with the language, and have you found a solution to it? Go ahead and let me know. See you next time.